so baby, I'm trying to get away. Trying to lock in the guap, trying to block all the pain. I'm a blonde little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard, 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the box, and I'm copping the pain. We out for the styles of a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitch is a jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know what the bros, I got Richard and Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti. Yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like Durant do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, not taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in the greatest state.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Thursday night football pregame show. I'm excited.
Our first pregame show of the season, and most importantly, our first Dak blows of the season. It begins as soon as we start.
Don't
Good
worry.
to see you back bringing the smoke.
Don't worry. Him and Ryan are the two funniest followers we have. Ryan says some shit in MMA Underground that I can't even put on the screen sometimes.
But just as a show, guys, if you comment on our videos, if you come and watch our videos, we do interact with you. Come put some comments in, we'll put them up on the screen as long as they're obviously appropriate enough to put on the screen.
And I'll push the limit so you can say some wild shit. That just tells you how wild Ryan's comments are once in a while that I can't put them on the screen.
Yeah, but let's see if Dak does blow, if we think Dak is going to blow, because this is our Thursday pregame show, but it is our basically season opening prediction time is what we're doing here. We're going to be looking at some division winners, some of our favorite under-overs on betting, and we're going to look into an MVP and our Super Bowl prediction. So, yeah, let's get on with it. Let's go.
Well, you seem to be driving the car very well, Maddie, so where do you want to start?
I know, right? I feel like I feel like on the fantasy show we ended up switching roles a little bit as well. This is different to us, but I think we should go straight in with the betting because it's a new thing for you guys over there. Right?
I was with you.
Betting.
That would have been my pick. So I didn't know if we should leave that to the end, but I was thinking maybe we should start with that. Hey, we're on the same page.
I say we start with it. Give the followers what they want to start with, and then save our Super Bowl picks for the end, right?
We're half a world apart, and we're already in lock.
Already locked in. Locked in. Yeah. So let's head into those. Do you want to give me, Jay, your first favorite over under, your must bet?
Yeah. Let me grab my phone here and pull this up quick. All right. All right. People are gonna think I'm fucking wild, but this is the one. If I had bet it that I would bet first, my lock. Lions over under 10.5 wins under. Ooh,
yeah, I saw. I feel like I got all sketched out there on my Wi-Fi connection dropped. I'm in Luka Doncic's home country right now, and it turns out they don't have great Wi-Fi. So hello from Slovenia. Welcome to Slovenian Wi-Fi, everybody. Yeah, but with the Lions, I saw that one and I thought, oh, I knew you were going to put it. And
I got them at 9 or 10 wins, but that still puts them under. And it's not to say they're not going to have a good team. I just think they're going to have a step back from what they were last year. So I think that's where I'm looking at it. I know Lions fans are going to just say I'm hating, but that's cool.
I think our Dan Campbell thesis from last season that actually ended up coming true in the playoffs was the team get tired of Dan Campbell, right? And they get tired. And what ended up happening is they got to that 49ers game. They should have won it. They were miles ahead. They should have won that game. And then they fell apart at the end. So I saw that line. I haven't picked that one for myself, but I saw that line. And I was like, I know Jay's going to pick that.
So I got to ask you, though, if you feel the same way I do about this at all. I feel like the Cowboys game showed us the limitations in Dan Campbell's coaching ability. And I can go on a tangent. I wrote an article about the refs. That's not even the case. We can leave them out of it this year. That's over with. Dan Campbell kept doubling down on a horrible decision after horrible decision after horrible decision, and he could have got out of it 3 different times and just kicked the field goal.
Yeah, and I think that it was the emotion that took over in that moment, right? And we said at the time that emotion can only carry you so far. You need to channel that emotion in the right places. And I think what ended up happening is they then got to the championship game with the 49ers. They were up, they were playing ridiculously well, looked like they were going to win the whole thing, and then it all just fell apart towards the end because they just used up all their emotion on all the other bits. And as soon as they took the foot off the gas, that was it. And they couldn't rekindle it and they couldn't get it back. I think the Lions are going to have a great season. And I think also the important thing to note here is the NFC North is probably the best division of football right now. If you look at it, like there are competitors, like the AFC North, for example, but the NFC North could be the best division in the NFL right now. So going out there and getting 10.5 wins in the best division in football would be pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I think for one, we can agree it's going to be probably the most competitive, right? With the way everything's sitting. And I think it's the defense that's going to fall off, not the offense.
Yeah, I think keeping Ben Johnson is a massive thing for the Lions, right? Like the fact that they managed
Jared Goff getting an extension, I think, was huge too. And people can shit on Goff, but is there even an argument that he's a top 10 quarterback right now? I mean, really, are we arguing this?
Yeah, he's actually. If you take away Matthew Stafford, then you take away like quite a huge part of Lions quarterbacking history, especially in the new NFL. But really, if you look past Matthew Stafford, is Jared Goff the Lions' second best quarterback of all time? Is he at least in that conversation? Is that where we are with that as well? So they're going to be a great team, but 10.5 a lot.
I think for the Lions, it's actually fair to say that not overall career, but for the Lions, Jared Goff might be a little better than Matt Stafford was for them. It has a lot to do with the system, the coaching, the players, all that. Overall, Matt Stafford's a better quarterback. But for the Lions, I think we could argue, like, since he's been there, like, we haven't seen just shithole seasons and, like, dumpster fire seasons. Like, we watched them build something on the arm of Jared Goff and everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. And he did a great job just doing exactly what he needed to do. And sometimes that's exactly what you ask your quarterbacks to do, right? Yeah, exactly. Just
his whole career.
Yeah, just do exactly what you need to do, and then you're there. I think the Lions' defense as well was a strange one last season where they actually didn't play that well, but stop them from getting in the end zone, which is exactly what you're meant to do. The bend but don't break thing that's exactly what you're designed to do. That's what you should be doing. And again, we're not saying they're going to be like an 8-win team, like 9-10 wins, like still great. It's just 10.5. I can see why you've picked it. I haven't picked it, but that defense was so strange last year.
And you're right, because there was times where, and this happens, and you need the ball to bounce your way to have a great season. But there was times where they were about to get scored on, and there'd be a tip pass that turned into an interception, or like timely shit happened. Can you repeat that? Does the ball bounce the same way for you? Like, that was their time. Like, I felt like they kind of fucking tripped over themselves when that was their time. It seemed like everything last season was going their way, even up to halftime of the NFC Championship game, and then they just shot themselves.
Yeah, and there's also the question of the Lions fan base. Like, look, when you get a stadium rocking like they had it rocking last season at points, like that carries the players so far. If the Lions don't start well here, how quickly do those fans go, oh, like you just feel like the whole air comes out of the stadium, the air comes out of the balloon, and it's like you've got they had this whole idea of hope, and then it comes straight back out. So you've got to start well. They've got to start really well here, and as soon as that stadium starts to deflate, I think that could really work as the detriment to the team as well. This happens with my football team, like European football team, Sunderland, all the time, where we were once a great team, like one of the best teams in the world. And then we've had so many years of hurt recently, and there's so many false dawns that then the next season, if you don't start well, you can feel the fans just like feel, oh, back to the same old shit, right? And then that season's just a waste there. So that'll be interesting to see as well if they start well.
Well, before we go on to who you got first, I just got to say, England's created the word fucking soccer. Can we just start calling it fucking soccer? I mean, once I found out you guys created the fucking word, I'm like, bro,
Well,
like, what are we even doing?
In all fairness, we did create all of the words that we use now.
Right, but
Like,
so you called it
most
soccer before we ever did, is my point. And
I just,
for fuck's sake, man,
that's why I
we
go.
start calling
That's
it
why.
soccer.
That's why I go for European football, for our whole European audience who also call it football. You know, that's the reason that
I'm just saying, if you
apart
guys
from the
originally
Spanish who call it soccer.
you guys originally called it soccer. We should just go back. That's my argument. But who do you have for what's your over under bet?
I think my number one most bet. I think I was looking through the over unders and I thought, oh, there's loads of ones that could go either way. Like that Lions one, I think one or two bounces of the ball takes that one way or the other. And I then saw this one pop up and just thought, this is like capital letters, bet the over. I think the Denver Broncos at 5.5. I think the Denver Broncos at 5.5 wins. I think it's an easy over bet. I think Sean Payton has exactly the kind of quarterback that he wants in there. And I mean, rookie quarterback, we'll see what happens. But run the system like that. I think the defense is incredibly talented. They've just made Patrick Surtain the highest paid defensive back of all time, which I don't actually hate that contract. I think Patrick Surtain possibly is one of the best DBs in the league, one of the best young ones, probably outside of Sauce Gardner. He is probably better all round than Trayvon Diggs, so I don't hate that he's paid more than him either. And I just think the Broncos have the weapons, they have the coach, they may have the quarterback here, but 5.5 in a division where you play the Chargers, who like we don't know what they're going to be, the Raiders, who we know what they're going to be, and it's not very good. Like I think they've got every chance of going 5.5 wins there.
I don't hate it. I'm still not sure about their receiving core, the weapons you're going to give to Bo Nix as a rookie. Bo Nix is accurate, athletic, and people don't give him the credit. He can throw the ball down the field. People just don't think he can because of the offense. But if you go back to when he was at Auburn, you can see it in the film. He can sling the ball down the field. But Peyton's going to run him more like the Oregon system, too. Quick, out of your hands, get the ball out, get it to your running back, get it to your hot, let your playmakers make plays. I just don't know who their playmakers are, but I agree with you. They probably win more than 5 games. With
all of the stuff that happened with Russell Wilson last season, the Broncos won 8 games last year. Like, does that sound mad to you? Like, I just had to look that up because I was like, I'm sure they won more than 5.5 games last year.
Oh, don't get me started. Games. The Vikings choked off a win against Denver that probably would have got them to the play. Don't get me started. Okay.
Yeah. But the Broncos got 8 wins last year, and they're in a much better place this year, even though they've got a rookie quarterback.
But if the Vikings get that win, then maybe they don't have J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner. So let me just shut up and accept that because it may have turned out for the best.
There you go. You feel better already. You feel better already. But I think I don't think the Broncos have lost much losing Jerry Jeudy. Well, I can. If I prepared a graphic, I would be able to show you the stats that they haven't really lost anything losing Jerry Jeudy. They kept Cortland Sutton, which I think is a great. I like big-bodied wide receivers for rookie quarterbacks. I think that's a really important thing for them. It's like Keenan Allen, I think maybe Caleb Williams' most important piece this year, due to if you're just accurate, they're able to just make the throws and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the Broncos is a must bet over. That's what I would be betting if I was a betting man.
I can't wait to watch Keenan Allen versus Stephon Gilmore, the 2 slowest guys in the fucking NFL, maybe going against each other. Okay.
It's all up here. It's all in between.
Yeah, it's knowing where you need to be and being there. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with the Denver one. I think that's a pretty good assumption. I guess it's on to me for my second one. And I'm telling everybody, where did it go? Make sure I get this right. Banging home New York Jets over on the 9.5.
I see. So this is so interesting. So basically, I wrote down the Jets
They
and
have a
went
tough
over.
schedule, but
Yeah. So I wrote down the Jets and went over, and then I went under, and then went over, and I basically decided I just know they're not going to hit 9.5, but I don't know which side of it it's going to be. Like, I feel like 9.5 is like a good season. Like, you probably make the playoffs with 10 wins, like in that division. So that'll be a great season for them. What I worry about is, what is Aaron Rodgers going to look like? Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was like, he wasn't great in his last season at the Packers. Can Robert Saleh actually coach? They clearly want a different offensive coordinator, but can't move off him. The Jets find a way to be the Jets. However, you also look at the Jets and you think, holy shit, this roster is insane. Like, Aaron Rodgers with one of the best young wide receivers in the game, the best young running back, in my opinion, in the game, and Brees Hall was gutted not to get him in fantasy. I think like they could go to the moon with this offense as well.
yeah, they got a lot of weapons on the offense and the receivers, tight ends, and they really, people aren't going to give them credit, but that is such an upgraded offensive line this year from where it was, from the injuries and who they added. Also, Aaron Rodgers last year with the Packers, he was playing with all new receivers.
Yeah, that's true. I guess these guys are all new receivers to Aaron Rodgers, though. Like, he's played full.
Yeah, but these guys were rookies. They didn't even understand the NFL. Like, he's had a year to build a relationship, and it might not have been like all practice time, but Aaron's thrown a lot of passes to these guys since then.
Yeah.
I think the Jets, and this is just me, I got the Jets in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I think the Jets. I don't know which way the Jets go. I think if you are able to bet successfully on which way the Jets go, you're a savant or incredibly lucky. Like, I would just be putting no money on the Jets ever, just because I have no idea which way they're going to go. Just because of that. Same thing with the Detroit Lions that we spoke about last year. At the start of last year, we were like, the Detroit Lions are routinely one of the worst franchises in football and will find a way to fuck it up, and it turns out they didn't last year. So
the Jets have an awesome defense, a bunch of weapons, and one of the greatest quarterback I've ever watched throw a football. Now, Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. Rodgers is the greatest quarterback I've ever watched throw a football. And I grew up with Elway and Marino and Montana. And so just Rodgers is the most talented I've seen. And maybe part of it for me is I actually get to cheer for the fucking guy instead of hating him. But I think the Jets are going to be the second best team in the AFC going into the playoffs.
I think the Jets as well. The other point of this is Robert Saleh may not be a great head coach, but he's a great defensive coach.
And Rodgers has got the offense.
I don't think. Yeah, exactly. And just if Robert Saleh just leaves his head coaching duties alone almost and just becomes the defensive coordinator, because on the offensive side of the ball, like, Rodgers and Garrett Wilson's connection during the preseason last year looked wild. Like, it looked unbelievable already. And then Brees Hall coming out of the backfield. Like, you'd think a lot of this just draws up itself. Like, I know it doesn't. I know the NFL is much harder than it looks and coaching is, but you would think that, right? Okay, I'll move on to
big body receivers too, though. Mike Williams being there. That
was the other reason that I didn't put the Jets down, actually. So I like Mike Williams. I agree with you that on paper they've upgraded our offensive line on paper. However, how many downs is that offensive line going to play together? That's what I want to see.
They still have a guard too.
Yeah, if that offensive line stays healthy, it's a huge upgrade. So let's see how many downs that offensive line plays together. But in theory, Aaron Rodgers should be on his feet a lot longer this year as well. So one of my ones that I've picked is the Bills at 10.5. I think that's crazy. I think that's an easy under. like the Bills at 10.5. And I feel like we did this last year. I feel like we went in and we said, I remember saying that the Bills were going to miss the playoffs last year. And I was wrong on that. But not going to be funny. The Bills should have still missed the playoffs. The fact that they managed to win their division was insane. Like, that was an insane collapse from Miami is the reason that they won their division. And they shouldn't have made it. Like, the ball just bounced their way so many times. And I can't think of a position where the Bills have got better this year. I've looked at their roster and I cannot see where the Bills have got better. And you would have thought the one place where they would have got better was the defense just in general because Matt Milano's in it. And like, I think that linebacker, especially the leader of the team, is such an underrated position in the NFL. I think Matt Milano would have made a huge difference to their team, but he's injured. He's not there. Like, so they've lost the leader of their defense. So I don't get it. I don't get how the Bills can be marked at 10.5. They don't have any number one wide receivers. Josh Allen is going to be playing hero ball the whole time. And they don't really have a running back either or much of an offensive line. The defensive line was kind of non-existent last year. Like, let's see where they get to. But I was surprised at the 10.5, definitely.
All right. So for my last one, it was kind of difficult to me. So my honorable mention, this isn't my pick, but my honorable mention is I really think the Vikings are going to be fighting for a playoff spot at the end of the year. So the 7.5, I got them on an over, but that's my honorable mention, and it'll come down to Darnold. This is going to kind of seem like an easy pick maybe to most people, but 11.5 wins for the Chiefs. Give me the over because I think they're the best team in the NFL, and I think they got better. I think their receiving core is going to be so much better. They have two of the fastest dudes in the NFL. And I know for week 1, Hollywood Brown is out. But mind you, Hollywood Brown runs a 4.3, and Xavier Worthy ran the fastest 40 in NFL history. And you're going to give these two guys to Patrick Mahomes on top of Noah Gray, on top of Travis Kelce, on top of Pacheco, who I've said just – oh, that was
me.
I was like, how did I just text? I was like, how did I just message stuff? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Pacheco runs angry. Like, I just – the only thing I'm sad about is ex-Minnesota Viking Jerry McKinnon is no longer on the team. Love that dude. I get it. He got older, whatever. But I just – and that defense, Spags always has that defense right. So I just don't understand, like, where they – I don't understand how we think they might fall off, right? So yeah, I think 12 wins is probably the floor for them. So that's why 11.5, give me the over.
Yeah, it took I'm never betting on an 11.5 as an over. Like, too much risk involved for me personally in an 11.5. Like, as soon as like Pat Mahomes goes down, then that's.
Well, yeah, if Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, or any of those dudes go down, then I think all my bets are out the window.
Broncos, I think the Broncos will still go over 5.5. If
Jared Goff's the only one, if he goes down, that it helps me because I picked the under.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think I agree with you that the Chiefs have definitely got better. It took the league so long last year to realize that the Chiefs had just completely changed the way that they were going to play football to win last year. Like, they were relying on their defense and their running game a bit more, and then making sure that they were hitting those short passes as they were going through and just keeping the right possession. And it just took so long. Like, I don't think anybody realized that the Chiefs had completely changed the way that they were playing. It felt, honestly, until about the divisional round, probably the AFC Championship game, right? That people didn't realize. And it honestly felt like me and you were just speaking into the ether and just no one was hearing anything. I kept on watching stuff and just going like, yeah, the Chiefs aren't going to throw for 500 yards. That's not the game that they're playing last year. That's not the way that they're going to play. Their game is, the Chiefs lose if they concede more than 23 points, I think was the one that everybody was saying last year. And it was like, cool. They've got an amazing defense. They've got a top 5 defense. How often they concede in 23 points? Let's have a look. And nobody realized. Now, they have lost Snead out of that defense, which I think is a big deal. But I also agree with you that the wide receiver room has got way better. Patrick Mahomes finally unveiled his behind the back pass, which he should have been thrown 3 years ago. I'm excited to see that in an actual regular season game. That'll be fun. But yeah, I think they have the best head coach, the best quarterback, top 10 defense. I think that's a winning formula right there.
So I want to rephrase what I said earlier. So Aaron Rodgers is the most pure passer I've ever seen in my life. Patrick Mahomes is the most talented passer I've ever seen in my life. Let me rephrase that.
I was going to mention the behind the back pass that Pat Mahomes threw in a preseason game. But yeah, the most like just crazy angles and everything like that. I think it's easy to say. It's easy to say, isn't it, that the Chiefs are going to be one of the best teams? And if you think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL this year, chances are they're going to win about 12 to 13 games, which makes it.
I think 12 is their floor if Patrick stays healthy.
We are so used to the AFC West being one of the best divisions in football at the moment that we haven't actually looked at it and realized that it's actually one of the worst divisions in football right now. Like when you look at that's the other part of that.
That was my thing. Vegas not looking good. They don't have a quarterback. So what do you do? And then we talked about Denver. They're rebuilding. They're, a lot of moving parts there. I mean, they're eating a shitload of dead cap, so there wasn't much they could do. And the Chargers, what do we expect from the Chargers? I expect the Chargers to be in the hunt in the next couple years, but I don't know what to expect year one. And I'm still confused. I'm still really confused why they just got rid of all their receivers.
Yeah, I didn't get Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. I didn't get not keeping one of those guys. Now, I think the signing of Chark. Yeah, Chark.
Chark.
Right. Okay. I think the signing of Chark is really is a really good signing. I like seeing him in Detroit. But if he's your really good signing, I'm worried for your wide receiver. However, I really like Lad McConkey. I really like him. Just as I wanted Chark as slot.
When he was a free agent last year, I wanted Chark as the Vikings' third option. Okay, so then I get what you're saying, because if that's your number one guy, who's getting double covered? Who's opening things up for everybody else?
Yeah, what I really like is if I like that Lad McConkey is going to be an excellent slot receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. I see him as maybe a slightly more athletic Cole Beasley.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't do what you did in our fucking group chat. Don't do it.
I said he was Steve Largent in our group chat.
22-year political Paris. Okay, I'll stop before I piss off one side or the other. All right.
Well, we're just talking NFL, not politics. But yes, I think he's going to be that, Julian Edelman, maybe Cole Beasley, better version of that kind of wide receiver. And they're great. They're awesome wide receivers to have. I've only named white guys. Randall Cobb, there you go. It doesn't matter. Those kind of guys as well that you can have, right? And then you get DJ Chark, who's an excellent stretcher of the field.
2, maybe 3, but
2, 3 really. But what you're missing there, 3 of you have then a really good slot receiver. Then what you're missing there is just an X wide receiver for your unbelievably talented quarterback to throw to, because this is the building blocks of a team that hasn't got a quarterback. But the thing is, they've got an amazing quarterback who they're paying a lot of money to. So I don't really understand what the Chargers are doing there. But that's by the by. The Chiefs have a really easy division. They're basically starting with 6 wins, and they're one of the best teams in the NFL. So I can see why you would pick that. My final one is it's between 3, but I'm gonna go for an over. I'm going to go for the over. I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Rams on the over. I think the Rams are one of the best run teams in the NFL.
What's the over-under?
Oh, sorry, it's 8.5 on the Rams. The
Yeah,
over.
if Stafford stays healthy, I'm with you.
If Stafford stays healthy, that's a 10-win team. Like, no doubt. Cooper Cup's back. Cooper Cup's 1 year removed from his injury. Puka Nacua, I know you think he's slightly overrated, but is that what you said? Am I just putting words in your mouth?
You
That's
are.
not you.
No, it's
Sorry,
not
that's
me.
not
I
you.
was going
That's
to
someone
address
else.
that after you were done, but I was going to let you finish.
That's not you.
No, I
Sorry.
think Coop is amazing. He shocked the shit out of me last year.
Yeah.
Coming out of BYU, I thought he'd be okay, but yeah, that dude can ball his ass off.
I know. As soon as I said that, I was like, "That's not Jay," because that's an insane take, and I would have to just stop doing the podcast if he ever said something that nuts, you know. But anyway, sorry. Cooper Cup, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, really nice wide receiver room there with one of the best coaches the NFL, one of the best offensive minds the NFL has seen. Now they are missing Aaron Donald, and that's why it's gone down to 8.5. It's basically gone down to 8.5 because they're missing Aaron Donald because he retired. That's the reason it's not 10 at the moment. And spoiler for the next bit, I think they're going to win their division this year. I think they're one of the best run teams in the NFL.
I was going to just say, don't sleep on that run game.
Yeah, don't sleep on that run game whatsoever. It's a really nice backfield, actually. Kyron Williams, who got him in fantasy, by the way, everybody, just so you know. So I am biased here, but I am a little worried that he is going to be on the special teams play this year. He's getting some of his reps returning the kicks, which doesn't bode that well for him at running back. But Blake Corum, I think, was an excellent pickup as well because he's the antithesis of what Kyron Williams does, like big-bodied guy who just can just smash it in, you know, whereas Kyron Williams can break out for that big play. So I think they're an excellent team, and I think they could win the division.
I think we're going to see a lot of people kick to the returners in week 1, and I think you're going to see a lot more teams kicking out the end zone week 2 and on. I think soon as 1 or 2 teams bust a huge play, these head coaches are going to look at their special team coordinator and be like, just give them the 30. Because the average return we've seen through the XFL and now the preseason is the 28 anyway. Why would I risk it for 2 yards? Just kick that bitch out the end zone and next year I think we're going to see that kicking out the end zone take it to the 35, which will change the whole. But I think this year you're going to see a lot of, I'm not risking it.
I'm excited to see what some of the special teams coaches have cooked up for this first week, right?
I'm excited. Matt Daniels, Minnesota's special teams guy, is supposed to be brilliant. They haven't been able to really see it because of the way the kickoff went. So we'll get to see if what people talk about him is true.
The team that I'm excited to see for their first kickoff of the season is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to see if they put Justin Fields back there. That's why I want to see, because they're talking a big game about it. So fucking do it if you're putting him back there, you know. Like, don't get us all excited and then don't do it.
And then if you're the Chiefs, are they going to put Xavier Worthy back there, the fastest guy in the NFL? Like, if you're the Dolphins, we've talked about before, do you put
Tyreek Hill back there?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill back there if it's need a big play. I don't know. It could be exciting.
Jalen Waddle. Even the Dolphins could even put Waddle back there and still have the opportunity to bust huge plays. So there's a few teams that are really exciting potential there in the NFL. Do the Steelers have Cordell Patterson now as well? Have I just dreamt that up?
No, they do.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah, they do, don't they? So that would be just Cordell Patterson and Justin Fields in the backfield for a kickoff. That would be silly. That would be very exciting. Okay, so first part of the show over. There's our bets. Everybody, go bet them if you want. Don't bet them if you don't want. That's fine. You might not be a betting person. That's all okay. Let us know what bets you've got in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that kind of stuff. And now we're going to move on to our division winners. That's why I thought we would take the show next year. I don't know how you feel. You go good with that, right? So the division winners, basically, who is going to win their divisions. We're only going to talk about the division winners. We're not going to talk about any of the other positions unless it pertains to the division winners. Okay, so let's start off then with the AFC North. Let's start there. Jay, who have you got winning the AFC North this year?
I don't know why everything in me I have this gut feeling it's going to be the Browns, but I have to take the Ravens.
The Browns. No,
I
go
do.
for it. Say the Browns. Say why the Browns.
I got to
You can
take the Ravens. I got to take the Ravens, but I think the Browns have been so good with all this quarterback issues. I think they're just going to keep winning. And I think that I get this fear that Lamar gets injured, right? Because Lamar does get injured. But
every other season,
yeah,
he has one healthy.
You know what? Give me the Browns. I can't just talk as much as my brain says it's going to be the Ravens. It's the Browns. I think the Browns win this division. I think they're so talented, and I think by the end of the year they have the best defense in the NFL. James Ford can run his ass off. He's elusive. He's strong. He's quick, and he's fast. And we've talked about the difference between quick and fast before. So, I think Nick Chubb comes back to a backup role.
Really? You don't think Nick Chubb is going to be the starting running back by
I
the
think
end of the
even
season?
if they start him after he comes back, I think Ford is going to get more carries because I think he's going to do so well with the 4 to 6 weeks that Chubb's gone. And then Chubb's going to have to get back in shape. And then he's older. Does he come back from the injury? I think this is James Ford's team at running back now moving forward.
Then you have made an excellent fantasy pick there, friend, if that's the case. But yeah, I can't.
I got him in all 3 of my leagues, bro. That's how much I believe in him.
He's a good pick. When you took him, I was like, that's a great idea. That was a top one. For me, I don't see it for the Browns this year. Obviously, there's I've said that about the Browns every year under Deshaun Watson. I think eventually you're like a quarterback player is going to keep up to you. What I don't understand is why they didn't keep Joe Flacco. That's what I don't get. And I guess they just already had too much money tied up in the quarterback room. That must have been the reason that they couldn't pay whatever Joe Flacco is now getting paid.
I would have kept Snoop Huntley.
Yeah, I like Huntley as well. I think Huntley would have been good for them too. He raises the floor. Huntley raises the floor of the offense, right, because of his athletic ability. For me, I've picked the team that's in tonight's game. I've picked the Baltimore Ravens. I think basically when I look at Baltimore, I just see the same team as last year. They've just added Derrick Henry. With Joe Burrow's injury, we'll see how Joe Burrow comes back. But I think with Joe Burrow's injury, that makes this division probably the most turbulent division at quarterback, apart from maybe the NFC South quarterbacks. But I think this is we don't like Deshaun Watson. We don't know how he's going to look. We don't know how Burrow is going to come back from his injury. Who's the other team in that division? Why am I totally blanking? Oh, and then obviously the Steelers. We don't know. I think that Russell Wilson will be sitting on the bench by week 5, week 6. I think he shouldn't. I don't think he should be starting because you know what you're getting in Russell Wilson. You don't know what you're getting in Justin Fields, I think. And I think Fields raises the floor of that offense a lot. But yeah, so I think I think it's the most turbulent division. I think they're the only team settled at quarterback. They've got an amazing coach, an amazing culture. Now, the one problem I do have with the Ravens, they've lost their defensive coordinator. So we'll see where that gets them.
And Greg Roman's now in LA. But I gotta ask. Everybody keeps saying what you just said. That is the media's narrative too. We know what we got in Russell Wilson. We don't know what we got in Justin Fields. I think it's the absolute reverse. I 100% know what you have in Justin Fields, and I want nothing to do with it. I don't know what I have in Russell Wilson. Is he the Russell Wilson from Seattle or is he Russell Wilson from Denver? And he wasn't as bad as people think he was in Denver.
That's true.
And now you got a coach who's not treating him like complete ass in Tomlin, where we already know that him and Peyton did not get along. Peyton didn't want him. That's a fucked up place to be as a player. And I'm just not sure. I think it's the reverse. What do we have in Russell Wilson? Because I already know that Justin Fields ain't shit.
I think, see, I'm going to say something here that I was just about to say something that I don't actually necessarily agree with. And now I've stopped myself. But basically what I was just about to say there was with Russell Wilson in Denver, you saw Russell Wilson with weapons. But actually, I don't believe that. I'm not sure the weapons are as good in Denver as everybody said they were for a long period of time. I think we said that at the start of last year, that they don't actually have a great wide receiver core. When they do have a better one on paper. However, it is better than what Justin Fields had in Chicago. We haven't seen Justin Fields in a good offensive situation at all. Whereas we have seen Russell Wilson in a good, like a half decent offensive situation. But we'll see.
I don't think Pittsburgh's a good offensive situation either, though.
I don't know. Like, Justin Fields immediately has the best wide receiver that he's ever had, and the best offensive line that he's ever had.
Okay, but now you're the defense, double cover, Pickens. And then what do you do? Like, and Justin Fields, Justin Fields is way more of an athlete, but both those quarterbacks can make plays with their legs. So I just think I just always find the narrative weird when I look at it completely opposite, right? Like, because I'm like, I want to know if we should extend Russell Wilson. Nobody's going to sign Justin Fields as a starter next year if you don't start him. So you have a good shot at getting him back at a backup if you want. Whereas Russell Wilson, like, if you don't play him and he hits the open market and somebody needs a quarterback, they're going to take a flyer on Russell Wilson because it's like, okay, Russell's done it before. Can he hold the spot? And I think by the time the season's over, both these guys are destined to be career backups, or Russell Wilson turns into Ryan Fitzpatrick and becomes the placeholder for every team he plays for the rest of his career.
The one other issue is with this, and it just, the fact that we're even having this conversation shows that this is the most turbulent division in terms of quarterback play. But Russell Wilson doesn't throw over the middle, and that's why Arthur Smith loves to target the entire time. Like, Arthur Smith just draws a box in the middle and says, basically, all of my plays are going to happen in this middle part of the field, and Russell Wilson can't throw that. Now, the only issue with that is that Justin Fields can't really throw anywhere to many places on the field. like Justin Fields has a really nice deep bomb, you know. So as long as you just play too deep, then Justin Fields is kind of nullified as a passer as well. So yeah, we'll see where the Steelers
I find that weird, but where you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm gonna head in the compass order in never eat shredded wheat, and we're gonna head over to the AFC East. Where are you going?
Yeah, shredded wheat is awful. I don't know why I even have to mention that, but well, you take this one first, Maddie. I want to see what you got going on before I hit this one.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going with the Miami Dolphins here. I think that I think Mike McDaniels might be an offensive genius. I think he's been in his room with his 80s glasses on, looking like a character out of Miami Vice, drawing up some great plays. Ready
hard
for the
to
season
listen
to start.
To in interviews.
Hard to listen to in interviews, but I kind of like it in a weird way, though.
Yeah,
like,
me too. He's a weird mad scientist, but he is rough to listen to.
Yeah, but I think he's rough to listen to in interviews because he's so real, and I think that's how he is with his players as well. Like, if you get what I mean, like I think he inspires like a great thing in his plays. No matter what you think of Tua Tagovailoa, in this system, he works really well as long as it's not snowing outside. And for most of the regular season, which is when the division titles are decided, it won't be snowing outside, and they get to play at least, what is it, 6? How many home games do they get this year? It's like 8 or 9, isn't it? They get that many home games where it's not going to be snowing at all, so they should be fine, really, Miami, in terms of their regular season performance. Am I saying that Miami are going to be my Super Bowl pick? No, but I think they're going to hit 12 wins easily this season. I think that offense is just ridiculous, and I think the defense has a lot of pieces and hit a lot of injuries this year.
So Tua is my only regret from our fantasy football draft. It's my only regret.
You got him or you don't? I can't remember.
I do, and I regret it, but that's the only regret I have.
He'll score 40.
I let you go first because I already said that I think the Jets, and I already gave all the reasons why I think the Jets. So I don't think we need to beat that horse anymore. But yeah, I got the Jets winning that division.
Yeah, what's your problem with Miami?
They're
Why do you think
Miami
the Jets over Miami?
because they're Miami.
But the
They
Jets are
always
the
figure out a
Jets.
way to just shit the bed when they have the chance. And I don't trust Tua. I think he'll have big numbers and still lose you games.
I see. I trust Tua during the regular season. I don't trust him outside of the regular season. But yeah, let's move on to the AFC South. Where are we in the AFC South now? This is.
Do you want to say it at the same time? Because I'm not even sure we need.
Yeah, sure.
It's the Texans, right? Oh.
Yeah, the Texans. Yeah, 100%. So there are plenty of stats that say that a certain amount of teams that didn't win the division last year are going to win the division this year.
Not
But
this
this
one.
is one of the ones where it's not like, you know, like I went through and went, okay, there's a certain amount of statistics where I have to change who the winners are going to be just to be realistic. And I
stayed
basically
away
went
from
on lock.
one of the reasons I think they're going to be so good is the reason I stayed away from all of their wide receivers in the fantasy drafts.
Yeah.
I think Stephon Diggs is going to end up being their number one receiver, but I don't know that for sure. And the reason I think that is because Stephon Diggs is in a contract year. He's in a new place, like yada, yada, yada. Stephon's happy for a minute because that's how it happens, playing for money. And the dude's just amazing. And let's not act like he forgot how to play football for a half a season. Him and Josh Allen weren't getting along as people. And I don't care what anybody says. We're humans. And I'm sure there's times Josh would have thrown to him the year before. He didn't last year. And Nico Collins came out of nowhere for them. So I'm not sure who's going to be the number one. Tank Dell's a beast. I think they got better with Joe Mixon. I know Payne didn't agree with that. I think they got better with Joe Mixon. And CJ Stroud is just, like he said, coming out of the draft, I didn't know what to think of him. He was the one guy that I just didn't have an opinion either way. And he's amazing, fucking amazing. And I don't think he's going to fall off. And they got to keep, I never remember the offense coordinator's name out of San Francisco.
Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, they got to keep Slowick, which I thought he was taking a head coaching job, which is huge. Then they got Daniil Hunter on the defensive side of the ball. They got some other people, and I can't remember who. They really upgraded that defensive side of the ball too, though, and I'm blanking on who. But
yeah,
I think the Texans win that division easily because I think the Colts move forward as long as Anthony Richardson doesn't get injured. But I did a 180 on Richardson after a couple games last year. I was like, I was wrong. This kid can actually throw the ball. Plus, he's athletic. I just think the Jags, I don't know what to think. I don't think they're going to win the division. And then the Titans, I don't know if the Titans win 8 games this year.
The Titans are my one team where I'm like, they might go from worst to first. Not necessarily but from worst to like a playoff spot,
Which is interesting because you've never had a love for Will Levis.
So there's a weird thing about Will Levis here where I either think he is going to be one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL or is just going to... A trend of quarterbacks recently is being to put away the deep ball, to just put it in their back pocket, not take the risk, not get turnovers. But Will Levis isn't thinking that way, and I kind of like that, and I want to see where that goes. I also think they've had some really interesting acquisitions. I think Tony Pollard is an interesting acquisition. I think that Snead is an interesting acquisition, and I think the amount of money that they've invested into this team this year shows to me that they think they've really got something in Will Levis. So I'm interested to see that. The quarterback storylines in this division are great. Mm-hmm.
They brought Calvin Ridley in at receiver. Yep. I think Tajay Spears will be their starting running back. But I think there's a good chance they're the worst team in that division this year.
100%. I think they're a really weirdly up and down team that I just don't know what to pick with them at all. But yeah, I think if the Texans lose that division, I think that would be probably one of the biggest surprises. Apart from maybe this next one, which is the AFC West, which I'm going to guess that you've got the Chiefs winning the AFC West.
No, I was going to go with Las Vegas. No, it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs. Yeah. I have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Spoiler.
Yeah, we've already spoken about this division. We think this division is one of the weakest divisions in the NFL. the Chiefs pulling basically a New England Patriots at the moment, where once you see that you've got this dominant team in the division, looks to me like nobody wants to go and coach against Patrick Mahomes and against Andy Reid, Like, it looks to me that nobody really wants to go play against those guys either. Like, the free agents haven't made their way to the Raiders or the Broncos or the Chargers either. So let's see what they've got going on there. Over to your NFC North, Jay.
Green Bay
What
Packers.
are your predictions for the NFC North? Tell me more.
I think even if Jordan Love's half of what he looked in those last 8 games, and I think people really underestimate that receiving core, right? I've been beating the table for Christian Watson since the draft. Romeo Dobbs balled out. Reed came out of fucking nowhere, right? They upgrade at tight end. That defense is just going to be better than it was. They get rid of Joe Barry, who was the problem on that defense as a defensive coordinator. I fucking hate to say it, but I think the Packers win the division.
Yeah, for me, I'm still going to go with the Detroit Lions winning the division this year. I think they just easily have the best roster in that division from top to bottom. I think it's going to be much closer than what a lot of people are saying. Like, I took a lot more time over this because I took a lot more time over this with the Lions, the Packers, the Bears, even the Vikings. And that's no shade on the Vikings. That's just the fact that Sam Darnold in that difficult of a division, let's see where he takes you. But I wouldn't be surprised if this division ended with 3 people going to the playoffs.
I think the Bears finished dead last in that division.
You just have no love for Caleb Williams.
No, Caleb Williams is like CJ Stroud for me, and I told you that. I don't know what to think about him. I just don't think they have the right coaching staff. I don't. I think Eberflus is awful. I think people give the defense more credit than they deserve. I think the defense is going to be good. I don't think it's going to be top. I think Keenan Allen is washed. I do. I think he's washed. I think Rome has that fucking job by week 3. So I think Moore. Yeah. So I think Rome and Moore. I don't hate Moore, but I don't think he's a legit number 1. I think Clement is one of the best tight ends in football and is underrated. And I still think they're going to have 8-9 wins and be the bottom team. But it's only because. And I would put the Vikings down there too. It's just I think the Vikings' only reason, and it might be a homer thing, I think they edge them out is the defense got better. Flores, yes, good coach. We now have a secondary. But I think the offensive weapons in Minnesota are just insane. I think you got 2 number 1 receivers. People don't understand this, and I'm saying it again. Jalen Naylor will be the best 3rd receiver in the NFL by the time it's over. He is so fast. He's just been injured the last couple of years, and people haven't got to see him. And I think Aaron Jones is a huge upgrade at running back. And I don't know about Sam Darnold, but I do know that Nick Mullins last year, 2 games in a row, threw for over 400 yards in that offense. I mean, granted, he had 4 interceptions, but he threw for 400 yards 2 weeks in that offense. That's wild.
Sam Darnold is undoubtedly in the best offensive situation that he's been in since he came into the league.
It is a career
not even close.
It's a career making or breaking season for Sam Darnold. If he does good, he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. If he doesn't, he's a career backup.
And let's remember, Sam Darnold carried the Panthers to a couple of wins, like when he was the starting QB for the Panthers.
Let's not forget it was a horrible situation too with Matt Rule.
Yeah. There was a weird role at the start of, I think it was 2 seasons ago now, right? Where there was a weird amount of time where everybody was like, oh my God, the Panthers are going to be the worst to first team because I think they got 2-3 wins in a row while Sam Darnold was the quarterback in a horrible situation. So I'm confident in Sam Darnold. I think if he just hits his targets, then he's fine. I think this division could be decided in 1 game from top to bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if every team in this division had a winning record. I'm not 100% sure that's possible. I'm pretty sure somebody did it recently. But I wouldn't be surprised if every team in this division had a winning record. So this, for me, is the hardest division to pick. And I'm going to go with the Lions because I think they just probably edge out the best roster.
And before we just move past this to the next one, I don't think you're wrong. I just disagree, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think top to
exactly.
bottom, the Packers have a better roster. I think top to bottom, the Vikings have a better roster than the Lions. But the quarterback for the Vikings is sketch. So that's why I like, I would take Goff over fucking Sam Darnold. But I think the Packers have one of the best rosters in the NFL, maybe because they're so fucking young. And people don't put stock in how young that team is.
I think the thing that puts the Lions over the edge, right, is the offensive line for me. I think they've got hands down the best offensive line in the division.
I might have to stop calling Gutekunst a fucking idiot. I don't know. Might have to.
Yeah, maybe. Also, with the Bears, by the way, the Bears could also be one of the most interesting teams in the NFL this year. One of the most interesting storylines. Because I agree with you. I think their defense was given too much credit last year, but I'm not sure it's going to take a big drop off this year. Like, I have no idea. Like, basically, they seem to give Eberflus a pass rusher, and the defense seemed to just entirely change. Like, it just seemed to entirely swap.
Well,
and I was wrong on
that's
Sweat.
his side of the ball. So they should be better on that. Also, don't get me started on defensive coaches with rookie quarterbacks. I think it's a bad idea, but
It's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. It's what ruined plenty of quarterbacks. Okay, so let's move now to my NFC East, and I'll start this one. I'm going to take the Cowboys for this one to win the division. I think this would have been one of the easier ones to flip and say they've got a different division winner with the Eagles there this year. I again think that this division will be decided by maybe one game. I'm not 100% sure where the Cowboys have got worse apart from at running back, but I'm not sure how much of a downturn Tony Pollard is. I think people have highlighted the offensive line, like losing Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith was only playing 12, 13 games for the Cowboys year on year, total Hall of Famer. And Taylor Guyton has looked amazing. I was a big fan of Cooper Beebe coming in and playing center for the Cowboys throughout the draft process, and I trust the Cowboys player analysis, especially on the offensive line. So I think the Cowboys haven't got worse, so that makes them a 12-win team. The Eagles finished last year being possibly the worst team in the NFL for those last 3 games of the season, where they played the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants again, and then got whooped by the Buccaneers in the playoffs. The Cowboys also got whooped by the Packers in the playoffs as well. So, not much better. But I'd be interested to see the Eagles with the leader in Jason Kelce missing, the leader in Fletcher Cox missing, and the fact that Sirianni, who I don't think should be a head coach in the NFL, is not getting on with Jalen Hurts at all.
We got to get you a bottle of Haterade, but
I was right about the Eagles all last season, by the way. Just a reminder. I called them the Pittsburgh Steelers from the 11-6 Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think that where the Cowboys got worse is their secondary, and I think that's a problem. I think that was one of their strengths. Bland's out. Stephon Gilmore's gone.
Bland is out. That's the Bland being out.
Now you have one corner.
We brought somebody else in who they're really, really, really confident in going forward, which is why they let Stephon Gilmore go. We've got another rookie starting on the other side, and I can't remember his name for the fucking life of me.
And I think Saquon Barkley is going to make all the difference in Philly. I think Philly's got a ton of fucking weapons. Their defense will be better. I'm not worried about their offensive line falling off at all. Even with Kelce leaving.
I'm not worried about their offensive line falling off, and I'm not worried about the Eagles. Well, from the point of now talking as a pundit, not as a Cowboys fan, I'm not worried about the Eagles' offensive, their talent at all. I mean, just a reminder, they did have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL last year, but they've improved that secondary. The Eagles have gone out and they've improved the defensive side of the ball, which is what they needed to do. They also have Devon White playing a linebacker who's a great acquisition for them too. my problem with the Eagles is leadership and like actually seeming to just gel as a team. Like at the end of last season, they just looked dejected and defeated. And if they get 1-2 games wrong at the start of the year this season, do we see that? Like, has Sirianni managed to bring it back? All the noise coming out of the camp sounds like maybe not.
I just think part of their fall off last year was Jalen Hurts was playing injured. I think that had a lot to do with their falling off. I think their running game was suspect. I don't think you have to worry about that anymore with Saquon Barkley.
No.
I got the Eagles winning the division, but I think it's going to be a Cowboys-Eagle battle again.
Another thing for the comments here for everybody. We had a huge fantasy trade go through today, by the way, involving Saquon Barkley. That's why I'm bringing this up. We promise more updates on our absolutely shit crazy league when it's 14 teams in there, and all people who like we all just chat shit and we love trading and all of that kind of thing. What was the trade, Jay? It was Saquon Barkley for.
I'll pull it up
Chubb.
right now.
Saquon Barkley
injured Nick Chubb.
Injured, yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now.
It was Chubb.
Okay, so Death's Doorstep got Jalen Warren, DeAndre Swift, and Nick Chubb for Saquon Barkley.
Three starting running backs potentially, depending on what happens with Jerome
Chubb's
Ford.
injured. Swift is soft as Charmin. I'll leave Jalen Warren alone, but he's going to be sharing.
Jalen Warren's also a little injured as well.
Yeah, and he's sharing a backfield.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting move, right? I think Barkley is in the best situation that he's ever had as well. That's important to remember.
And Hitman quit comparing him to Christian McCaffrey. Fuck.
He's not as good as Christian McCaffrey. Like
Christian McCaffrey retires today. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, fucking stop. I'm not saying Saquon's not amazing. I'm not saying Saquon someday can't be a Hall of Famer. But as of today, to compare him to Christian McCaffrey to me is wild.
Right. This is how good Saquon Barkley is, but also how overhyped he is because of the market he's in. He's Jonathan Taylor, but in a big market team, right? So Jonathan Taylor is an amazing running back and an amazing season.
I had somebody tell me 2 years ago that Jonathan Taylor was everything they hoped Saquon Barkley would be.
Yeah, like he is Jonathan Taylor in a big market team, so he gets the hype around him, right? But Saquon Barkley is an amazing running back, and he's in a much better situation. I don't think the talent of the Eagles is going to fall off. That's just important to say. Without their leaders in the locker room, I'll be interested to see where it goes. I think the Cowboys win this division if their rookie picks play out, which they have done for the past 3-4 seasons. I think they win this division. Let's see where that goes. There's some big ifs. Wow. There's some big ifs in the Cowboys team.
I think I'm rich if I win the lottery. Okay.
Fair enough. I think that the Commanders, the weird thing about this division, though, is I also think the Commanders could be one of the candidates for worst to first. I think the Commanders are going to be a big player in this, a much bigger player in this division than people will give them credit for. I think Jaden Daniels is a kind of scary player to have in your division. I don't think Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be here for a good time, not a long time. I think what we've got with Jaden Daniels is a player who's going to absolutely light the fucking league on fire. And then we might not see him like around for a hell of a long time. Now that's like 8-9 years away. We'll see where he is. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. He's obviously in my fantasy team, but obviously a competitor as well. The NFC South, we've got the Falcons, Bucs, Saints, and Panthers. Who are you taking to win the NFC South?
The Bucs.
The Bucs. I'm picking the Falcons. I think the acquisition of, I think they were close to winning the division anyway before they got a decent quarterback, and now they have 2 upgrades of quarterback. Although Michael Penix looked a bit iffy, but like they've upgraded.
I think that's the problem, is that they drafted Penix, and you're going to hear a bunch of screaming from fucking fans. And I think their leadership in the front office has proven to not know what the fuck they're doing. And I think Drake London's overrated. And I'm not sure if Kirk Cousins adjusts that quickly to a new team and a new offense and all of that.
Also, Kyle Pitts is already questionable with a hamstring, which is great.
He said he's playing, so
He's playing.
You don't. Yeah,
he's 100%.
I got him in the 12th round of one of my fantasy drafts.
What's that like playing with a normal amount of teams like to go for? But
it's crazy. But I got Terry McLaurin in like the 8th round.
I think Kyle Pitts is one of the ones that I felt the most uncomfortable taking because I've taken him. I think now this is the 3rd year that I'll have Kyle Pitts, and he is the most fucking frustrating guy to have in because there's no reason why he shouldn't be scoring huge fantasy points, and the reason why he wasn't, I think, might be out the door and being the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh. So let's see what happens there. I think the Bucs are just a really interesting team, right? Like Baker Mayfield seemed to get his mojo back. They beat the Eagles in the playoff round as well. Mike Evans always gets his. Chris Godwin's coming back from his injury. I think like the Bucs are also an interesting team as well. I think they're going to.
And I think they have the best defense in that division.
Yeah, definitely. I think they definitely have the best defense. I think between those two teams, it'll get decided by their head-to-head. And then I think they'll whip the Saints and the Panthers in that division. Although I do predict the Panthers to look like an actual NFL team, not a college team this year. So let's see what
happens with Bryce Young. I know it's only his 2nd year, but man, did he look bad last year? He looked fucking bad.
I think Patrick Mahomes might have also looked bad in that offense last year. I have no idea what he had. To go for when Adam Thielen is your top target, and no offense to Adam Thielen, but if he's your top target at this age, then you're in trouble. And we finish out our division predictions with the NFC West. Now, I've already said who I think is going to win the NFC West, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. That's who I think is going to win the NFC West. Who have you got?
The 49ers.
I think it's definitely between those two teams, right? If you said anybody else, I would have been very, very surprised. Although the Cardinals are an interesting team. Kyler Murray's back from coming another year removed from his injury. They looked pretty decent at the end of last year. They've also got a number 1 wide receiver now, Marvin Harrison Jr. So an interesting team. But I think it's between those two teams. So why did you pick the 49ers over the Rams?
Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, the best running back in football, and CMC, Kyle Shanahan, that defense. That front 7 of that defense. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we've watched it. And until they show me that they're not the 49ers anymore, I got to ride with them. Like, how do you not? I feel like, I don't know.
They're such strange copies of each other because as you were saying that, I was also saying Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL last year in Kyren Williams. Their defense is still going to be solid even without Aaron Donald, and they have one of the best coaches in the NFL.
That front 7 in San Francisco is fucking nasty.
It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Now, the reason that I've picked the Rams over the 49ers is I think that I think they have the better quarterback. I think the Rams have the better quarterback. Like, I like Brock Purdy. I'm not like a Brock Purdy hater or anything. I just think he's in that tier of Tua Tagovailoa, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins. Like, I think he's there. That's where I think he is. I think if you give him all the I think Jalen Hurts is also in that realm as well, but we can talk about this another time. If you give him all the weapons, they look absolutely fucking great because they're excellent at running the system, and they have that system, so he's going to look great. But I think Matthew Stafford can also single-handedly win a game as well. So let's see where they are, and let's see if Matthew Stafford can even stay healthy.
I kind of hate your take on Brock Purdy. I ain't gonna lie, because there's so many times with the game on the line, he just goes out there, drives them down the field, puts them exactly where they need to be. So I think people don't give Purdy the credit, and we got to remember, this is just his 3rd season.
It's crazy. No, it is like it is fucking crazy. Like Brock Purdy is amazing. It's not that he's the best at it. At this type of job that I'm talking about at quarterbacks, he is probably going to be the best at it. Like as we go through, it's the I don't know, like the lack. I hate the term arm talent as well. I don't know what it is about Brock Purdy. Whenever I watch Brock Purdy, I'm always like, oh, you've just like, oh, it's just give the ball to the weapon, give the ball to the weapon. But then that's also exactly what I want in a quarterback. Look, he's Jared Goff, but younger and at the start of his career, so has more room to move up. You know, like when he has all the possibilities in front of him, Brock Purdy. You hate that take.
Yeah, I don't love it, but whatever.
Okay. So yeah, so that's our division predictions there. We'll put them up somewhere on social media somewhere. I'm sure I'll make a graphic for it and we can put them up on social media for you all to argue with. Like and subscribe, argue with us in the comments as well. But let's move on now to our Super Bowl game predictions because we're getting close to kickoff now. How long have we got? Very close to kickoff now. Who is your Super Bowl prediction?
All right. So as the 49ers win that division, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
All right.
I have the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl.
I can't believe what you've just said. Because, and the viewers aren't going to believe that we don't talk about this stuff beforehand. I have the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl going forward as well. I think the Rams
almost picked the Jets. I did. I almost picked the Jets.
I think the Rams might start quite slowly this year and really pick up towards the end of the season. And I think the division winner is how far the 49ers are ahead of them by the time they pick up. But I think the Rams by playoff time are going to be like just a juggernaut of a team. And I think they're going to be, again, just really well run and they don't lose games that they shouldn't lose and they win games from the positions where they should be winning. And I think that's brilliant. I think the Chiefs have just got everything in front of them, man. They've got an easy division. The AFC is easier this year than it was last year, I think. Now their big obstacles are the Texans and the Jets. If the Jets all stay healthy, but the Texans and the Jets, I think, are their two biggest obstacles going forward into this because the Dolphins, who I think are probably going to go in as the second seed in the NFL, they're going to have to play a snow game in Chiefs Kingdom if that's where we're at. So I've got the Chiefs definitely. And Jay, to finish off, your MVP of the league, who have we got?
Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is the MVP of the league
And comeback player of the year.
I see. He's definitely my comeback player of the year. Aaron Rodgers. I think, like Aaron Rodgers taking the field, I think he's going to get his
touchdowns,
comeback player of the year.
6 interceptions. That's what Rodgers finishes with this year. 40 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 12 wins, and an AFC Championship appearance. That's my prediction.
So for me, I'm going to take CJ Stroud as the MVP of the year. I'm worried that some voter fatigue is going to hit into Patrick Mahomes' numbers, Lamar Jackson's numbers on the other side as well. I think if Lamar Jackson gets even, I think like there'll be some hangover from Lamar Jackson not making it in the playoffs again last year as well. I think that CJ Stroud wasn't in the conversation as much as he should have been last year because he was a rookie as well. That was also really important to mention. Like Dak Prescott was second team All NFL. Arguably, CJ Stroud should have been second team All NFL if he wasn't a rookie. And for the final bit of this podcast, Jay, the spread for tonight's game is the Chiefs -3 for our first game time prediction of the week. What have you got?
Chiefs.
Chiefs are -3. I also have the Chiefs dropping the banner in their building, going for a 3-peat, hitting that -3 definitely. I think it's I think that I was expecting the spread to be a bit a bit bigger than that, actually. I was surprised when I saw it was only -3, even though I think that the Ravens are going to be an excellent team and they're going to win their division this year. I think the Chiefs have it over on the Ravens. How demoralizing do you think a big win for the Chiefs will be to the Ravens season this year? Because that's a big thing out in the media, that this is a must-win game for the Ravens.
I don't believe any week one game is a must-win game. Detroit went into Kansas City and won last year. Like, as long as you're competitive through the first 4 weeks, then you'll know what your team is. I don't really worry about and like I've told you before, when Aaron Rodgers was there, I wanted the Packers week one. I wanted the Packers before they started to fucking click. You know what I mean? That was the kind of shit that I like as a Vikings fan. I'm like, give me them right away. Fuck week 4, fuck week 8. Give me the Packers off the bat. So I don't think a loss either way. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's less than 7 points, but more than 3.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure on the demoralizing factor of a week one game for the rest of the season, to be honest. Like, yeah, if they lose another playoff game to the Chiefs, I can see why that's going to keep on hitting them mentally. We'll see where they get to. We see if they'll play each other in the playoffs, but I just think like the mentality of a week one game, I don't think should impact the rest of your season, especially when you have a culture like the Baltimore Ravens do. And kickoff is in about 5 minutes time.
Well, quick, before we go, we have to hit this one. Tell me why you have the Packers over the Eagles for tomorrow. And because I already know that you picked Packers over the Eagles. I got the Eagles over the Packers, but go ahead.
What's the spread?
Eagles favored by 2.5.
Yeah, so I am going to take the spread of 2.5. I am going to take the Eagles are playing in fucking black and white, which are my soccer team's rivals' colors as well.
The Packers are playing in green, which I didn't think they were supposed to, according to Brandon Jacobs. So I'm very confused on. They're going to wear their white and green. Not sure what the fuck. Yeah.
And in fucking black and white. So I can't ever do anything for a team in black and white, and I can't do anything for the Eagles. But joking, obviously. I think that I'm going to say I actually would pick the Eagles in that situation. I don't think the Packers are as good of a team as we think they're going to be. I think a lot of stuff started clicking last year that may not click as well this year, to be perfectly honest, as we're going forward. And I think the Eagles will be just overpower them in the strength positions, I think.
That's my pick. The reason I got the Eagles is because week one, I think running game is always going to be clicking faster than the passing game. And I think that they're going to ground and pound their way to a victory.
I think it's that's why the Eagles got off to such a flyer last year, I think, because they just got in the trenches. In the trenches, the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL, right? And I really do think that. So I think they'll pound the Packers into oblivion, to be honest, in Brazil.
All right, we did it, Maddie.
First live show of the new season. That's so exciting.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoy football. We will see you Sunday morning. Make sure you tune in. And it's here. That's all we can say is it's here. So one world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.